Jones. Let's go home. Wesley Snipes.
Nah, you go home.
Mr. Becker.
Marshall, looking sharp.
Long time.
5 years, 4 months.
Can I have a word?
Step into my office, Marshall.
Took me a while to find you. The world is coming to an end. So where would you rather die? Here or in a Jaeger?
What's good, y'all? I'm Sonny the Afrofuturist, aka Michael, my government name. Welcome to another edition of the AAC show. Right, Pacific Rim, this was my first time watching this movie. This movie is almost 10 years old. Time really flies. This movie came out in 2013. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, features Charlie Hunnam, Charlie Day, Rinko Kikuchi, Ron Perlman, Idris Elba. So the plot is pretty basic. You have these monsters called the Kaiju who are attacking all over the world, and you have these robots that are created to stop them called Jaegers. That's like German for hunter. Real quick, before I talk about the movie and what I liked about the movie, I do have to address, I don't know if this was like what the racial subtext was there, but I just wondered why like the name for the monsters was like an Asian name, the Kaiju, and why the name for the heroes, like the hunters, was a German name. I was like, is that racist or not? I just had to think that, thought that in the first few minutes of the movie when they were explaining what was going on. So this movie did take place in the future. At the time when it came out, the movie came out in 2013. It starts off saying 2020. So yeah, this movie was pretty off. So Charlie Hunnam's character, he has a past tragedy, so he just started working construction for a couple of years. It was just kind of doing that, not hunting the Kaiju. He was really good though. He was really renowned. Idris Elba's character, he's like a general, like their military, basically their military to hunt these Kaiju. So he recruits Charlie Hunnam's character back up in there, and I'm sorry, I watched this movie a few days ago, I forgot most of the character names. This isn't a movie where the characters have a lot of depth. I mean, they do just a little bit, but just enough to get the story moving. So Idris Elba recruits Charlie Hunnam to come back in there, and there's this woman played by Rinko Kikuchi, hope I'm saying her name right. She has a past to the Kaiju, and she's kind of like a technician, computer person that helps them out. But she wants to fight. She doesn't just want to stay on the sideline. She wants to fight. She brings that up to Idris Elba's character a little bit.
This is Marco Mori, one of our brightest. Also in charge of the Mark II restoration program. She personally handpicked your co-pilot candidates.
イメージと違う。
Hey, 違うって。
失礼しました。あなたの話をよく聞いていたものですから。
Charlie Day's character is like a, nerdy, typical kind of nerdy character you see in these movies. He has another guy with him. They're there to basically analyze the Kaiju and see if they can get any other information on him that's going to help them defeat him.
Stay back! Kaiju specimens are extremely rare, so look but don't touch, please.
Mr. Beckett, this is our research team. Dr. Gottlieb and Dr. Geiser.
Ah, nah, call me Newt. Only my mother calls me Doctor. Herman, these are human beings. Why don't you say hello? I've asked you not to refer to me by my first name. About this, I haven't talked to you in 10 years, gentlemen.
10 years of experience, man. About time.
Please.
Who is that, Yamarashi?
Oh, this little kaiju? Yeah, you got a good eye.
So this movie, it's a summer blockbuster. What else can I say about this movie besides, like, it's going to hit all those beats? I was watching this with my roommate. We kind of laughed. There was a moment where you could tell a character was going to die. I'm going to spoil it up here in a little bit, just in case you don't want any spoilers. But yeah, there was one moment where they showed a character like by themselves, struggling with something. We were both like, yep, that character's dead. And yep, the character did die later in the movie. Spoiler alert, the character who did die was Idris Elba's character. Like, there's a moment where they first showed him like taking a pill, and you think like it's to help him like stay calm and stay poised, but then they show him again like in the elevator by himself, and like his nose is bleeding. Like, it's kind of dramatic the way they show him like seeing that his nose is bleeding, and then he takes a pill. Me and my roommate are both like, yep, he's dead. And they make him like the heroic sacrifice, like later in the movie, he sacrifices himself to, you know, help the whole team, you know, type of stuff. The usual type of thing these movies do. This film wasn't really like deep or anything, so there's not really much I could say about like the themes or anything like that. I do just want to say, I wonder how like the way they link up, like the Jaeger, there's two people in there and they link brains. They connect brains somehow. And their brain connects to this robot machine thing that takes on the kaiju. I thought the concept was a little bit weird. If that was a real concept, I don't know if I'd be getting in that Jaeger. You know, I'm cool. But if we're saving the world, I mean, it might be a little different. I don't know. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. I'm not gonna think about it like that. It's not that deep. Oh yeah. Also, real quick, they frequently say gypsy danger. Well, not frequently, but they say it quite a few times. It's like kind of like an alert. Or that's like a term for an alert in this movie. I wonder if this was like right before gypsy was seen as like a problematic term, because when I was a kid / like a little bit of a teenager, that wasn't really, I didn't think that was like a problematic term, but then I like read that up in an article or something like that. So I think this movie might have came out right before that, or just before that. I'm not quite sure when that was. So yeah, I watched this with my roommate. We had a pretty decent time with this movie. As I said before, this is a pretty standard summer blockbuster. There's not really anything that pops out of it. The action was pretty entertaining. It reminded me of like a Godzilla vs. Kong movie, you know, one of the modern ones. They turn up some cities in here for real. Those kaiju were not playing. That's what kind of makes the movie the most entertaining, is the fact that like the kaiju are very powerful, very strong, and you don't quite know how they're going to defeat them. So it makes some of the battle scenes kind of thrilling. So I think that's probably what the movie has going for it the best. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a strong 2.5 out of 5 stars. I've said in past reviews, 2.5 out of 5 stars doesn't always mean I dislike the movie. It just means it wasn't quite enough to be a 3 out of 5 stars. Very close to a 3 out of 5 stars for me, but, you know, I don't know if I'd really watch this movie again like that. You know, if I was in the theater watching this movie and I didn't have to pay a lot for it, if I only paid like $5 for it, you know, I'd be all right. Like, oh, that was a decent watch. But, you know, if I had to pay more than that, then I'll probably be like, okay, it wasn't worth all that. All right, another spoiler real quick now that I'm done giving my final review. It was funny how one of the monsters ate Ron Perlman, and then it was kind of corny how they brought Ron Perlman back. Like he cut himself up out of the monster so he wasn't dead. The character wasn't memorable enough to really earn that. You know, me and my roommate were talking about that. We were like, okay, that was supposed to be like a big stinger. You know, it was like a mid-credit scene where like it was like, oh, Ron Perlman's not dead, but you know, it just didn't quite land. It wasn't as funny as I feel like the studio thought it would be.
Bank robbery, hostage situation, 20 Exchange Place.
What?
Grossman's on vacation. You're up.
What about the Madrugada thing, the check cashing thing? I thought I was in the doghouse.
I just threw you a bone. As far as I'm concerned, you still work here. But if you don't think you're ready...
No, he's ready.
Oh, good. Good. I'm giving you a break here. Don't make me look like a fool.
This is it, baby, the show. You got the call, man. God damn.
Guess I should be happy. I might get to put off IAB.
Here's all you need to know. You walk in unarmed. Head bad guy puts a gun to your head, makes you get on your knees. You look around, there are 5 armed men pointing Uzis at you. Just picture them in their underwear.
How about orange jumpsuits and shackles? Here you go, Keith. You can do this. Look out, bad guys. Here I come.
All right, Inside Man, a Spike Lee joint. Not a typical Spike Lee movie or a movie you would expect to be directed by Spike Lee, but Spike Lee did direct this movie, he didn't write the script. Starring Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, hopefully I'm saying his name right. So the movie is about this criminal mastermind, Dalton Russell, played by Clive Owen, who's gonna rob this bank in New York City. And then you have these two detectives on the case, played by Denzel Washington and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Detectives Fraser and Mitchell. Fraser is Denzel, Mitchell is Chiwetel. So Dalton Russell is an exceptional bank robber because he keeps the cops and the feds guessing every step of the way. He seems to be a step ahead of them. Also, you have the owner of the bank, the guy who first started the bank, you know, way back in like 1940 something, Arthur Case, played by Christopher Plummer. He has something in one of his safety deposit boxes that he doesn't want to be found in the midst of this bank robbery. So he goes to this fixer, this woman who, you know, fixes things for rich folks, played by Jodie Foster. I think her character's name was Madeline. So you have that up in the mix too.
Arthur. Good morning.
Ah, Mrs. Pipers. Have a seat. Thank you, Princess. That's all for now, thank you. Well, what did he say?
Well, Detective Fraser turned out to be quite sharp.
And this movie really had a full cast. William Dafoe's also up in there as the police chief. Daryl Chill Mitchell has an appearance in there as a cop. So Dalton Russell is smart. So what he does, and I'm not going to get into spoilers until a little bit later, he has all of the hostages wear the same clothes that the bank robbers are wearing to really confuse the cops. So sometimes like he'll send a hostage out and the cops will be thinking that's one of the robbers. And then this isn't quite a spoiler. I'll try to say this my best without spoiling it. There's cuts to like almost like, well, the movie starts off basically with Dalton Russell explaining how he's gonna rob this bank, like kind of in the middle of the action. He's breaking the fourth wall, and I guess the rest of the movie is technically a flashback since it starts off with him talking about the robbery after it already happened, even though the way the movie presents it is kind of in real time.
My name is Dalton Russell. Pay strict attention to what I say because I choose my words carefully and I never repeat myself. I've told you my name. That's the who. The where could most readily be described as a prison cell. But there's a vast difference between being stuck in a tiny cell and being in prison. The what is easy. Recently I planned and set in motion events to execute the perfect bank robbery. That's also the when.
The movie presents it in a real-time kind of format, but then it'll cut to like Denzel and Chiwetel's characters interviewing / interrogating, not quite interrogating, but talking to the bank hostages and trying to gather up some information on the bank robbers. To me, this kind of takes an element of the thriller out of it. Because, you know, I'm not wanting to see, you know, any of the hostages die. I don't want to see anything bad happen to them. But, you know, there's that element in there, you know, when the bank robbery first kicks off and you see that these people are serious, you know. You have, of course, you have, you know, in a bank robbery movie, you have a few people that are going to talk back to the bank robbers and, you know, they get dealt with. So, you know, these bank robbers mean business. I enjoy a good thriller every now and again. You know, a good one I watched recently was Sleepless with Jamie Foxx. So the fact that it kept cutting back from like the bank robbery going on to Detective Fraser and Mitchell interviewing the people, it took a little bit of that thrill element out of it for me, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But Denzel Washington has some of the best charisma for any actor in history. So he's a joy to watch in those scenes. His charisma is on 10.
They just told us to put our heads down and then close our eyes. And then I just remember one of them telling the others to just go down and fix the cameras.
The video cameras?
I don't know.
Anything else you want to share with us?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Could you give us the names of the bank robbers? I'm just messing with you, sweetheart. You okay? Okay.
It was pretty awful.
Was it bad? Well. All right, my dear.
I can go.
No.
No.
No, you gotta stay. You gotta stay. I'll give you that. Don't stay. Did you rob the bank? Did you rob the bank?
No.
You sure?
So it's not like I didn't enjoy this movie. You know, I'm gonna talk about more about my personal gripe with the movie here in a little bit, and it's a little bit petty on my part. You might call it petty. I'll reveal it here in a little bit. There were two super 2000s moments in this movie. One kind of took me out of like kind of like made a serious scene kind of funny. So there's one of the hostages who says he doesn't, you know, of course they tell all the hostages to put their cell phones in this bag. There's one hostage who says, I don't have my cell phone on me, I left it at home. So the robber calls his number from somebody else's cell phone to see if he's lying or not. And then of course his cell phone is in there. His ringtone is Gold Digger by Kanye West. That kind of took me out of the seriousness of the moment for a little bit. I was like, okay, is this supposed to be funny? Because that's kind of funny. It wasn't like somebody you would expect to have a Gold Digger by Kanye West as their ringtone. I'll just say that. There's a PSP in this movie. There's a black kid who's playing Grand Theft Auto on his PSP in kind of the 2000s moment. I thought it was kind of silly how, minor spoiler alert, the bank robbers didn't make the kid put his PSP in there. I never had a PSP, so I'm not sure if you can get Wi-Fi connection on those things. Because someone, you know, comment if you know. Could you get Wi-Fi on the PSPs? Well, the PSP came out before Wi-Fi was really like a thing, so maybe not. I'm not sure. I just couldn't help but think that they wouldn't have let that go. Like, all right, these bank robbers are pretty on point. I feel like they would have taken the PSP to play it safe. Denzel's wife was fine. I can't remember if the movie said if they were married or not, because he says something about his girlfriend in a few scenes, but man, his partner, she was fine. It's a Spike Lee movie, so you got the infamous dolly shot where the person looks like they're, you know, on skates. They do that with Denzel once, Christopher Plummer once, and I think they did it with Clive Owen's character once. Alright, I'm about to get into some spoilers, but first let me give my final rating for Inside Man. I'm going to give this movie a very, very strong 3 out of 5 stars, close to a 3.5. And that's not necessarily knocking this movie. I just more have a personal kind of gripe with it that I'll get into here in a second. Very well done. As I said, with the cuts between the real time, you know, the bank robbery and the hostages talking, giving their testimonies, talking about what happened, that took me out of the thrill of it just a little bit, you know, like, okay, well, everybody's gonna be okay, you know, not saying I don't want anything to happen to the hostage, I don't want anything to happen to the took me out of it a little bit. Denzel Washington is one of those actors that's so good, has so much charisma, that even when he's playing like a villain, like Training Day, you still kind of want him to win. I'm gonna be real. Like his character was a piece of crap in you know, Training Day, but he had so much charisma that I almost wanted him. I'll speak for myself. That I almost wanted him to win. Like, man, can he just, you know, escape from the Russians, you know, and get that taken care of so he can keep going? Man, this dude's too smooth. But you know, he was out here, you know, being a bad cop, being a corrupt cop. Wasn't being good out here. This is a spoiler for Gladiator 2. I heard they killed him off in Gladiator 2, and I'm not even going to get into too much of that. FD Signifier made a really great video about the politics of that, the optics of that. Alright, so now spoiler alert for Inside Man if you haven't seen Inside Man, or if you don't want this movie spoiled for you. So I wanted Denzel's character, Detective Frazier, to catch Dalton Russell and the bank robbers. I wanted them to catch him. Because, you know, Denzel's just such a likable character. He has so much charisma that I was just like, man, I want to see this dude win. And he figures it out, but he doesn't catch him. Dalton Russell gets away, and I didn't really care for Clive Owen's character. You know, he had his moments, you know, but I didn't really like his character. So I like Denzel's character a lot more. So I wanted to see Detective Frazier catch Dalton Russell, and that didn't happen. So that's why I give this movie ultimately a 3 out of 5 stars. If Denzel had caught him and it had been like a really cool moment, I probably would have given it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I understand that's kind of a personal reason for me. Comment if you feel a similar way, or if you disagree if you've seen this movie. But yeah, man, Denzel's so likable, man. You always want Denzel to win. Also, this isn't as engaging as some of Spike Lee's other movies. You know, it doesn't really go too deep with any of the themes. You have some interesting stuff going on a little bit with Christopher Plummer's character and what's in that safety deposit box. But you know, every movie can't be super deep. You know, sometimes it is cool to have just a good action thriller to throw on. But yeah, overall, 3 out of 5 stars, close to a 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, that's been another edition of AAC Show. Thank you for tuning in. I have one more episode I'm doing until I'm done with this season 2 here of the AAC Show. I'm going to do Car Wash, 1976 comedy, and then I'm going to do American Ultra, 2015 action comedy. Car Wash has a few famous folks up in there, Richard Pryor, the Staple Singers. American Ultra has Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart up in there. So 2.5 out of 5 stars for Pacific Rim. Decent summer blockbuster, entertaining, but not the best in the world. But, you know, not terrible if you're stuck watching it. Then 3 out of 5 stars for Inside Man. Have a blessed week, y'all.